There's a specific kind of longing that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or dramatic realizations. Instead, it creeps in during ordinary moments, while driving, while trying to fall asleep, while doing something completely unrelated, when suddenly a thought appears, uninvited, and refuses to leave. This isn't random, it isn't luck, and it certainly isn't magic. What psychology has uncovered about lasting desire reveals something that most people never consider. The things that make someone impossible to forget operate on an entirely different level than what creates initial attraction. Initial attraction is surface. Lasting desire lives somewhere much deeper, and the mechanism behind it explains why some connections fade within days, while others persist for months, even years, even when the logical mind insists it's time to move on. The human brain processes thousands of interactions every week. Most of them disappear. They register briefly, then get filed away into the vast archive of forgettable experiences. But occasionally, something different happens. An encounter creates what neuroscientists call an open loop in the mind, an unfinished pattern that the brain keeps returning to, trying to complete. This is where lasting desire begins, not with grand gestures, not with overwhelming attention, but with something far more subtle, the creation of psychological space. Before we continue, I want to mention something that ties directly into what we're covering today. We've been discussing what makes someone linger in the mind, what creates that pull, and a lot of it comes down to presence, whether someone feels fully there or like something's missing underneath. But here's the thing most people miss. That kind of presence isn't just mental, it's physical. It lives in your blood, in how well your body is actually circulating oxygen and nutrients to where they need to go. When that's off, when blood flow is sluggish, you feel it, not always consciously, but you're dimmer, less vital, less there, and they feel it too, even if neither of you can name it. That's why I've partnered with Axo Supplements on their nitric oxide formula. This isn't a stimulant. It's not caffeine dressed up as a supplement. It's 3 amino acids that support your body's natural ability to open blood vessels and improve circulation. The result is steadier energy, better stamina, and that feeling of actually being in your body instead of dragging it around. 2 capsules in the morning, no crash. And by the evening, when presence actually matters, you're not fading. You're solid, warm, the version of yourself that leaves an imprint. I got you 20% off your entire order, but only for the first 100 orders. Links in the description and pinned comment. It will automatically apply the discount at checkout. If you've been feeling physically off lately, like you're running at 70% and you don't know why, this might be the missing piece. Now, let's talk about what happens when someone provides everything at once and why it almost always backfires. When someone provides everything at once, there's nothing left to wonder about. No mystery to solve, no anticipation to build. The brain receives all the information it needs, processes it, and moves on to the next stimulus. This is why intensity without restraint often creates the opposite of what's intended. Too much too fast overwhelms the system and triggers a protective response. But when presence alternates with absence in the right rhythm, something entirely different occurs. The mind starts filling in the gaps. It begins constructing scenarios, imagining conversations, replaying moments. And every time it does this, the neural pathways associated with that person strengthen. This explains a phenomenon that confuses many people. Sometimes the person who seems to care the least ends up being thought about the most. It's not because distance is inherently attractive. It's because uncertainty activates the brain's seeking system in ways that certainty never can. The seeking system is one of the most powerful motivational circuits humans possess. It's what drives curiosity, exploration, and pursuit. And it responds most strongly not to guaranteed rewards, but to variable ones, to outcomes that can't quite be predicted, to situations where the next moment might bring something wonderful, but also might not. Now, this doesn't mean playing games or manufacturing artificial distance. That approach eventually collapses because it lacks authenticity. What actually works is something more nuanced. It's about having a life substantial enough that absence occurs naturally, about having depth that reveals itself gradually rather than all at once. Consider what happens when someone maintains genuine interests, real commitments, and authentic engagement with their own existence. Their attention becomes valuable precisely because it's finite. Their presence carries weight because it's not automatically available. This isn't strategy. It's simply the natural consequence of a well-constructed life. The second element that creates lasting desire operates on an even deeper level. It involves the way someone makes another person feel about themselves. Human beings are constantly seeking reflections. We look to others to understand who we are, what we're worth, and how we fit into the world. And when someone reflects back a version of ourselves that feels simultaneously accurate and elevated, something powerful locks into place. This is different from flattery. Flattery is generic. It could apply to anyone. What creates lasting impact is specific recognition. It's noticing the things someone does that they thought no one saw. It's understanding the motivation behind their choices. It's seeing not just who they are, but who they're trying to become. When someone feels genuinely seen in this way, a bond forms that extends beyond the rational mind. They begin associating that feeling of being understood with the person who provided it, and in their absence, there's a specific kind of longing that emerges. Not just missing the person, but missing the version of themselves that appears in that person's presence. The physical dimension of desire connects to all of this in ways that most people misunderstand. Lasting physical desire isn't primarily about technique or appearance, though those play a role. It's about the psychological container in which physical connection occurs. When emotional safety exists alongside unpredictability, when someone feels both secure and excited, the conditions for deep desire are met. The brain essentially receives two signals that rarely occur together. This is safe, and this is novel. That combination activates both the attachment system and the seeking system simultaneously, creating a state of heightened receptivity. This is why the most memorable physical experiences usually involve an element of tension beforehand, anticipation that built over time, desire that accumulated before it was satisfied. The experience itself becomes encoded not just as a physical sensation, but as a release of everything that preceded it. And this encoding is what creates lasting desire. The mind doesn't just remember the event, it remembers the entire arc, the buildup, the uncertainty, the moment of resolution. And when it wants to re-experience those sensations, it reaches for the memory, over and over. There's another factor that psychology has identified as crucial, and it has to do with what happens after intimate moments. The contrast between closeness and distance becomes more pronounced after vulnerability has been shared, and how that transition is handled determines whether desire deepens or dissipates. When someone maintains their center after intimacy, when they don't become anxious or clingy or suddenly different, it communicates something powerful. It suggests that closeness is something they can hold without losing themselves, that they have enough internal stability to experience deep connection without being destabilized by it. This quality is deeply attractive because it implies that intimacy with this person is sustainable, that it won't come with hidden costs or eventual complications, that the experience can be repeated without the system becoming unbalanced. The mind naturally gravitates towards sustainable sources of pleasure. It learns to associate certain people with consistent positive experiences and others with inconsistent or complicated ones. And this learning shapes desire over time, strengthening some attractions while allowing others to fade. Voice plays a role in this that few people consciously recognize. The way someone speaks, the particular rhythm and tone and pace of their words, becomes associated with every interaction shared. And in their absence, that voice echoes. Certain phrases trigger memories. Certain inflections bring back feelings. This is why communication style matters more than most realize. Someone who speaks with deliberate presence, who doesn't rush to fill silence, who uses language precisely, creates stronger imprints than someone who communicates carelessly. Their words carry weight, and weight creates memory. The same applies to touch. Deliberate, present touch registers differently than absent-minded contact. When someone's physical presence is clearly intentional, when every point of contact seems chosen rather than automatic, the body pays attention. It catalogs the sensation more carefully. And later, in that person's absence, the body remembers. All of these elements compound over time. The mystery that activates the seeking system, the specific recognition that makes someone feel seen, the physical experiences encoded with anticipation and release, the stability that follows intimacy, the distinctive voice and deliberate presence. But there's a final component that holds everything together, and it's perhaps the most counterintuitive of all. The people who create lasting desire are typically not trying to create it. Their focus is elsewhere, on their work, on their growth, on experiences and interests that exist independently of any particular relationship. This lack of fixation creates a particular kind of energy that others can sense. When someone's entire sense of self doesn't depend on the outcome of an interaction, they naturally relax. They become present. They stop performing and start simply being. And paradoxically, this is when they become most magnetic. Desire follows attention, but not the kind of attention that grasps, the kind of attention that appreciates, the kind that enjoys without clinging, the kind that can be fully present one moment and fully engaged elsewhere the next, without anxiety or agenda. This is why becoming someone worth missing isn't really about the other person at all. It's about cultivating a life that generates natural scarcity, about developing the kind of presence that leaves an impression, about building enough internal substance that absence creates a genuine void rather than just empty space. The difference matters. Empty space is easily filled. A genuine void persists. It calls out to be filled with something specific. And when only one person fits, that's when lasting desire takes hold. Psychology reveals patterns, but patterns aren't formulas. Understanding how desire works doesn't mean manufacturing it artificially. It means recognizing what you might already be doing that undermines it. What habits of availability or inattention or performing might be short-circuiting the natural process. Because often, the path to being unforgettable isn't about adding anything new. It's about removing what's in the way, the constant availability that leaves nothing to miss, the generic attention that could apply to anyone, the rush to intimacy that skips the buildup, the instability that follows vulnerability. Strip those away, and what remains is something with natural magnetism, not because of tricks or techniques, but because of substance, because of presence, because of the simple fact that you've become someone whose absence creates a specific shape that only you can fill. That's what lasting desire really is. Not wanting something you can easily have, not pursuing what's constantly available, but reaching for something that exists in memory as vividly as in presence. Something that becomes more real, not less, in the spaces between encounters. And when someone occupies that space in another person's mind, they've achieved something that no amount of effort or strategy could manufacture. They've become unforgettable, not through force, but through the quiet power of being genuinely worth remembering. The mind knows what it wants. It knows who creates those rare combinations of safety and excitement, presence and mystery, understanding and unpredictability. And once it identifies someone who offers that combination, it doesn't easily let go. This is the deeper truth beneath all the psychology. Desire that lasts isn't captured, it's earned. Through becoming someone whose presence adds genuine value, through developing the kind of depth that reveals itself gradually, through building a life substantial enough that your attention means something. And that's work that happens mostly in private, in the hours spent developing yourself, in the commitment to your own growth, in the patient construction of a life that doesn't need anyone else to be complete, but has plenty of room to include them. The result is something that can't be faked, an authenticity that others can sense, a groundedness that makes everything else possible. And from that foundation, lasting desire becomes not something you create, but something that naturally emerges. Understanding how lasting desire forms doesn't mean engineering every interaction. It means recognizing what creates genuine impact and what quietly undermines it. Because presence is never passive. It either leaves an imprint or it fades into the background. And that difference shapes everything that follows. Once you understand how memory and longing actually work, the next thing that becomes clear is what draws attention in the first place, often in ways that go completely unnoticed. There's something specific that most men do without realizing it, that women register immediately. It's not what most people assume. The next video reveals what that is, and why 98% of women are watching for it, even when they never say a word.